If you lie awake at night wondering how to deal with the negative thoughts about yourself and the people in your life, then chances are this negative thinking leaves you feeling pretty lonely and worthless. Because it only takes one thing to set off this self-talk that keeps chipping away at your self-esteem and self-confidence, reminding you not to even bother trying, as you'll probably fail. If your thoughts are not helpful and they knock your self-belief, then you need to watch this video, because I'm going to explain how negative thoughts impact your life and why positive self-talk doesn't actually work. So today, let's talk about how to stop negative thinking in 4 simple steps. If you're new to my channel, well, I'm Sue Blackhurst, and I've been writing and delivering psychology-based training courses, gosh now, for over 24 years. I bring the world of social psychology into everyday language. So if you're fascinated by human behaviour and you want to learn more about why people behave the way that they do, then subscribe to my channel now, as my next video might just provide a solution in your life. And to find out more about the training that I provide, do check out my website, and don't forget to download my free book on how to reframe self-critical thoughts. The links for both are in the description box below. It's claimed that people know significantly more words to describe negative emotions than words to describe positive or neutral emotions. So without any rationale, I recently asked people across all of my social media pages to let me have at least 6 emotions that came to mind. And thank you so much to all of you who commented. I wasn't asking to necessarily relate these words to their current emotions. I only asked for a list of words, but I do suspect that for many, the words that came to mind were connected to their present state of mind. So here's the list of all the words that people wrote. Of course, many of the words were duplicated, but of all the words listed, approximately 60% were negative, 30% were positive, and 10% were neutral. And seeing as people commented, well, from all over the world, I also suspect that these thoughts relate to a broad selection of ages, nationalities, and cultures. Well, one view is that positive emotions tell us that everything's fine, so there's no need to actually think about them, whereas negative emotions indicate that something's wrong, so we need to pay more attention, time, and energy on them. But it's not quite that simple. Imagine this bowl of water is your mind full of thoughts. You have clarity and there is nothing polluting your thinking and causing you any distress. Now, let me add just a little bit of negativity and let's see what it does. Because as soon as we add just a tiny amount of the crap that you pick up during the day, it starts to fester and it very quickly begins to cloud your judgment, so you no longer have a clear mind. The power of positive thinking is all well and good, but watch what happens when I add some positivity. We've got the clear positivity here. No matter how much more clarity I try to add, you may be diluting the bad stuff, but it's still there. Well, this dirty water represents the negative thoughts, and maybe you keep telling yourself you're not good enough, but as you can see, it doesn't actually take a lot of negativity to cloud your thinking. So when asking people to relate 6 or more thoughts, even if 5 of them are positive or neutral, it only takes that one negative thought to upset the whole of your emotional state. Your thoughts directly impact on how you experience life or day-to-day events, because they dictate how you feel and measure your role in the world around you. Let's say you receive an email and you've not got the job, or you didn't get picked for the sports team, or maybe you didn't quite make the guest list for your friend's wedding with that 30 guest list maximum. Your inner dialogue now kicks into overdrive and you think that you're not good enough, which then leads to this low self-esteem and low confidence, which then makes you turn down the invite to go out that night, as who would want to spend time with such a loser? Or maybe you feel let down by work colleagues, family or friends. You feel betrayed and hard done to, leading to thoughts filled with anger and bitterness, which only then serve to make you agitated, aggressive or depressed. In other words, the strong connection between the mind and the body means that when you choose your thoughts, you are also choosing your emotions and behaviour. But this behaviour isn't just psychological, it's also physiological. Whatever your circumstances, you're going to meet different people throughout the day, but the only person that talks to you 24/7 and doesn't filter out the things that either are false or you don't need to know is yourself. But there also tends to be the same person who plays this negative commentary on this internal loop system, meaning that anytime your mind is not otherwise engaged, it's almost brainwashing you into believing whatever you have originally programmed it to say. Think about those self-help tapes that help you stop smoking, and they suggest you play them at night as you fall asleep. Well, how many of us go to bed and play the same self-made tape over and over again, telling ourselves where we and the rest of the world are going wrong? But what's so dangerous is that when you wake up, you are almost self-programmed to believe that it's true. And it reminds me of a dream that I had that my husband once ran off with Julia Roberts, and I woke up the next day in such a bad mood with him. And I'm sure there's other people who have believed their dreams too. If your internal conversation is full of negative self-talk, you're going to convince yourself that it's true. And once you believe it, it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy as you live and behave according to this self-certified label. Telling yourself you're not clever enough or attractive enough or confident enough to achieve your goals is probably the only guaranteed way that you won't. Self-talk is inevitable, but it's dangerous as it sets off this chain reaction that once started is really hard to stop. Let me explain. If you think about your favourite food, maybe it's a juicy steak or a rich chocolate cake. Once you think about it and create a vision of how it looks, tastes and smells, making it real, you experience a physiological change in your mouth, or in other words, you begin to salivate. And just in the same way that this salivation doesn't occur without the thought, the emotions don't occur without the negative thinking, meaning that if your internal dialogue is negative, then the resulting emotions and actions will also be negative. In the same way that people can become addicted to alcohol or drugs, people also become addicted to negative thinking. And just as you can't tell an alcoholic to stop drinking, you can't tell a negative person to simply, get over it or look on the bright side. Let's look at it this way. Adrenaline is more commonly known as the fight or flight hormone, and it's secreted when you're excited, afraid, or emotionally charged. When adrenaline is secreted into the blood, it increases your heart rate, your blood pressure, and the breathing rate, which can sharpen your senses and give you this boost of energy. Well, for some people, this feeling becomes so addictive that they actively seek the sensation from extreme sports, such as skydiving, in the same way that others might chase a high from a particular drug, hence the term adrenaline junkie. Without going into the physiology of the endocrine system, when you think about a really stressful thing, your brain receives a signal to tell the adrenal glands to secrete the stress hormone cortisol. Cortisol is a bit like, an inbuilt alarm system because it's the hormone that helps warn you about imminent danger. And just like the adrenaline junkie who lives off the thrill, if you have negative thoughts every single day that cause your body to release the stress hormones, you're going to become chemically addicted to cortisol. And this means that your body is going to force the brain to think negatively so that it can get that same hit. So even if you want to be positive, it's really hard because you are chemically addicted to negative thoughts, and your body will unconsciously search for opportunities to stress you out because that's what it's been used to for such a long time. Overcoming any addiction is going to take time, and it's really hard to become permanently self-aware of negative thoughts. But going back to our cloudy water, trying to cover up or mask the negative thinking by simply topping it up with the power of positive thinking doesn't actually work because you're not facing it, dealing with it and removing it from your mind completely. So here are 4 ways that you can use to introduce positivity into your life and help you to become a more positive person. But if you really want to make changes in the way that you think and therefore feel, don't forget to download my free book on how to reframe self-critical thoughts. The link is in the description box below. Stop negative self-talk. The first thing is that you need to be extremely intentional. Wake up every day and force yourself to think positively. Look in the mirror and smile. Tell yourself how fantastic you are and start the day with this clear, positive thought. But at the sign of anything negative from your childhood to the day before, shut it out immediately. Don't let any crap cloud your day. And be aware, because just because you're positive in the morning doesn't mean it's going to last all day. So catch and dismiss the negative thoughts before they take effect, because not allowing the dirt into the water is far better than trying to remove it once it's in there. Reframe the situation. I'm also a photographer, and as much as technical ability plays a huge part in a good image, to me, framing is everything. If what you see doesn't look good, look at it from a different angle. See things from a different perspective, because there will always be a way to look at any situation and see something positive. Losing a job gives you the opportunity to try something new, and ending a relationship allows you to spend that much needed and valuable time on yourself until you meet somebody who truly does love you. Establish new patterns. When you find yourself ruminating on the negative things, go and do something that you enjoy, something that enables you to redirect your attention elsewhere and engage in an activity that makes you happy. This could be listening to music or going for a walk. For me, I bizarrely love the feeling of finishing, a really good day's cleaning, because I sit down at night with that great sense of achievement. Ask yourself if what you're doing makes you happy, and if the answer is no, work out what you need to do in order to change the way you either do the same task or cut that task out of your life completely. Appreciate joyful moments. When something goes wrong, it's really easy to spend the rest of the day thinking about it, but that discourages us from thinking about anything that may have gone well. So when something great happens, take a moment to stop and enjoy that feeling of elation and all the emotions that go with it. Because the more you practice, the more your mind will create a habit of storing only the happy memories. Whatever thoughts you have, they generally start from a trigger. So it's really helpful to identify what it actually is that makes you feel positive and negative. Maybe it's a particular person or a task, or maybe it's a memory that you just keep bringing back to the surface. When your state of mind is generally optimistic, you're going to feel far more able to handle everyday stresses in a more constructive way. So the key is to become extremely self-aware, and even if you physically shake your head and say, nope, stop it, you will eventually find it becomes the natural thinking process. And as your self-talk contains less self-criticism and more self-acceptance, you'll become less self-critical of yourself and the world around you. And if you'd like to be part of my next Find Your Confidence training program, where I work directly with no more than 10 people at a time, have a look at my website for more information. Thank you so much again for watching. Now don't forget to like it, share the video, and do leave me a comment with your thoughts. Oh, and if you've not already subscribed, well, this is the time to do it. Do take care, and I will see you next time.